Hey, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was good. Small group of people. Just kept it small and enjoyed a great meal. So I just want to share a bit about genetic testing because we've got a promotion going on right now and it's going to expire soon. And I don't want you to, you know, be bummed out that you missed your opportunity. So there's a lot to genetic testing. And over the years, actually the last decade, I've been really diving in on genetic testing and finding out what is ultimately what you need to know. And understanding your own genetics, how you are built personally, is really, really powerful. When I found out that my kid's dopamine was wired a certain way, it was, oh, that makes more sense in how they're learning. Or my other son's dopamine pathway was a little different and he was really focused, but at the same time, he couldn't really fall asleep at night and he could become really irritable. Oh, that makes sense about him. My other son, whose dopamine and serotonin pathway is wired yet again differently, even though he's inheriting the genes from me and my wife, there's different combinations of genes that you can inherit. And so he inherited even a different type of pattern. And so if you look at genes in singularity, like if they have MTHFR or COMT or some other specific gene in dopamine or MAOA, you think, okay, well, I have that particular gene, I need that particular nutrient, or I need to stay away from that. That's kind of what you're taught. But what you're not taught, what you should know, is if you have these combinations of genes and you have infections or inflammation or these nutrient deficiencies or these nutrient excesses, it doesn't matter if you know what the SNP is. You need to know how that SNP is in association with this gene and this gene and this gene, and also bringing in the environment. It is a holistic approach. So that's what's missing with genetic testing, is a holistic approach. It's completely reductionist. And so I struggled big time when I was trying to create a genetic test for you. And when I was seeking out genetic testing for myself and for my kids, I did flat out genetic testing. And back in the day, years and years ago, when I was still working with patients and clients, I would do genetic testing and I just get this list of SNPs, literally a list of MTHFR and MAOA and NOS3 and GST, all these SNPs, right? And I would start making recommendations based upon that list. I was like picking. And it was like luck. Sometimes I got good treatments and recommendations. Other times I made them way worse. And it wasn't until I literally started drawing and connecting how the genes were communicating with other genes. Was it a big aha moment? And then that really helped. That MTHFR was connected to MTR, which was connected to this other gene and this other gene. And I could see how if I supported this one gene, it was like a domino effect. If you set up 4 or 5, 6, or 100 dominoes, and they're all in alignment in a special pattern, they're all going to fall, right? So if you support the MTHFR gene, one gene, there's about 200 other dominoes after it. And if you have no idea what those other 200 dominoes are, you're just supporting that one MTHFR gene. You flick the domino and all the other ones go. And you're like, what do I do? You don't know. You need to know what those other dominoes are. You have to know. And you have to know how they're lined up and all the other stuff that's going on with it and what influences them. Do you have a flat table? Or is there some type of springboard or some other types of balls? Who knows, right? So you need to know what influences those genes. So I started doing research even deeper, and I was starting to look at that, yes, MTHFR's cofactor is riboflavin. All right, that's really important to know. So if someone who was really sensitive to methylfolate, I could give them riboflavin, vitamin B2. That's pretty well tolerated. Safe bet. All right, that's good. But then I also found out that folic acid slows the MTHFR gene down. So then I made a recommendation, stop taking folic acid and consider riboflavin and consider leafy green vegetables or liver because that contains methylfolate. If you can't take methylfolate, try getting it from food and try riboflavin and stop the folic acid. And then I also learned that hypothyroidism contributed to a slower MTHFR gene. So then I said, well, you should be looking at your thyroid. Are you getting sufficient iodine? Are you surrounded with plastics? Are you getting exposed to insufficient selenium levels? Are you, getting bromine or chlorine or iodine, or not iodine, but other fluorides in your environment? You got to remove those. So it became holistic. I was looking at one particular gene, MTHFR, but I brought in the nutrient, which is riboflavin. I understood what it made and what it did. And then I understood what foods could be brought in to support it. And I also knew what lifestyle factors could also alter it. And I started looking at which conditions also alter it. So that is a holistic approach. And so if you're getting a genetic test from 23andMe or Ancestry or who knows where else you're getting them, you are not getting that. You're just getting SNPs, or you're getting, prostate cancer, 2.3-fold increased risk, or breast cancer, 1.2 times reduced risk. And they're like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, it's not a set number. If your prostate cancer is higher risk, then what do you do about it, right? It's not just set in stone. So if you look at your family history and your family history is high risk for, alcoholism or schizophrenia or hypertension, that is scary. So then you go out to do genetic testing and you want to find out if you're genetically susceptible to alcoholism or hypertension, right? You're looking for that type of stuff. And then they come back and they say, well, yeah, you are. But then what do you do about it? And then you might get a report back and says, oh, you have this particular SNP and you take this supplement, or you need to avoid this. Well, that's somewhat helpful, but they're still missing the holistic approach. How does that gene communicate with other genes? So what's the impact if this one particular gene isn't working, it has a SNP in it, does it impact the next gene down of it, or the one above it, or the one somewhere far away, or 200 other genes? You don't know. So that meant oh my gosh. No. How long have I been muted? I'm looking here. Oh boy. I was on a roll. Why does it do that? You hear me good now, right? Yeah. All right. You hear me now, right? Good. Yeah. Oh boy. I love technology. It just auto mutes somehow. I didn't even touch anything. But anyway, if if you are wondering what you're supposed to do when you get your genetic test back, and it is just talking about a certain SNP in isolation, you are not getting the whole picture. And if you're not getting the whole picture, you're making judgments or decisions based upon one particular gene. And you're not making better informed decisions of understanding the whole picture. So that is really, really important to understand. And that is what StrateGene does. StrateGene gives you a more holistic approach and a more holistic view of how your genes are working together. Is it harder? 100% harder. But harder things are typically the right way to do it, right? If you try to make a shortcut in your life, what's happened usually when you try to make shortcuts? They fail. And so if you're going out and you're ordering 23andMe, or you're ordering Ancestry or some other genetic test that's delivering a promise of, we're going to show you the increased susceptibility that you have for alcoholism or schizophrenia or autism or what have you, that's a big promise, and two, it's not actually something you want to find out. I don't really want to find out that I have a 2.4 times increased risk of prostate cancer, which is kind of what 23andMe tells me, or I have a 1.7-fold reduced risk of dementia. Well, that doesn't give me any actionable information. I honestly don't care about that. I want to know why I may be susceptible to increased risk of prostate cancer, and why am I reduced risk of dementia? Which genes do I have which shows that, and why is dementia even caused in the first place? So is it too high of dopamine? Is it dopamine quinones? Is it high homocysteine? Is it low glutathione, right? And how are my glutathione genes? Are my glutathione genes too dirty, right? So that's what I'm talking about. You need a holistic approach, and that's what's missing with genetic testing. So if you run out and you get a genetic test for 99 bucks, and you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to run it through Dr. Lynch's StrateGene report, which is now not available on its own, but let's say it was, and it was 40, 50 bucks. You spent 100 bucks, now it's 50, now it's 150. You have 150 bucks of somewhat basic information, but that wasn't good enough for me. You did not have enough answers. So my team and I went back to the drawing board, and we evaluated and created a new genetic report and our own genetic test. Why did we come up with our own genetic test? Because 23andMe is missing heaps, massive amounts of research genetic variants. They don't have them. They don't look at them. If you took a 23andMe genetic test and you look at the StrateGene genetic chip of what we have right now offering for you, they have 40% less health-related SNPs than the StrateGene report, only in one report. That's not even taking into account of all the raw data that we have for you as well. So it's a massive undertaking of what we've done for you, and it's $30 off right now, and the sale goes on, I think, until December 4th. And so I don't want you to miss it. I know a lot of you have been on the fence because you've been wondering what the heck StrateGene will do for you, or if you'll understand it. And if you've understood Dirty Genes, or if you still haven't got Dirty Genes, StrateGene comes with a copy of this. It comes with its own Dirty Genes book, along with the Dirty Genes course. So, and we give those to you. We just give them to you, okay? So I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Do you want to see a sneak peek of what the StrateGene report looks like? Yeah? So the name of the test, Tanya, is StrateGene. Yep. So yeah, Amanda, yeah, it does definitely connect the dots. You're welcome. And I'm going to show you inside the StrateGene report of what it looks like. But before I do that, I'm going to show you where you get it. And I'm going to show you that now. So you go to seeinghealth.com. And if you go to seeinghealth.com, you'll see this lovely lady here and her beautiful baby, and she's got the StrateGene kit on her dining room table, along with a copy of Dirty Genes. So again, when you order a StrateGene genetic test, it comes with the book Dirty Genes, and then you click this little banner right here. So you click this, and it takes you right to the product page, and you can see here there's no coupon even needed. And so you select your tube, or select your collection kit. You want a tube, or do you want the swab? Okay. And so the tube kit is if you can spit. If you can spit saliva, like literally spit, that's what you want. And if you can't spit, or if your child cannot spit, or you have an infant or a toddler, then you get the swab and you do the cheek swab. You insert the swab in their mouth without touching their tongue or their teeth as much as you can. It's like try to reduce that as much as you can, and then swab on the inside of the cheek. And it comes complete with directions. So all those directions are there. And so that's what you get. You get this nice, long cheek swab thing right here, okay? And then if you want to do the spit test, it comes with this. Oops, I didn't switch back. So it comes with a collection tube. Didn't switch back. I didn't switch back. There we go. Still didn't switch. Anyway, so it just comes with a tube that you spit in. There it is. So you just spit into this vial right here. Pretty simple. And then you send it back in. And then on the same page, if you want to see a sample report, you just scroll up. And then there's a sample report right here. So that's what it looks like. Okay. Part of it. And this is typically a 120-page report. Okay. It's pretty extensive. So, and then you get this link right here, how to understand it. So I really want you to understand it here. So, and then it gives you all sorts of information how to understand. Okay. So what I'm going to show you right now is I'm going to stop that share, and I'm going to share something else. Stop the screen, share screen, and this one. Okay, so this is the actual genetic report. And what do you want to look at? Do you want to be looking at histamine pathway or glutathione pathway or the MTHFR gene or dopamine or serotonin? What do you want me to look at? Whatever I see commented more, I'm going to start sharing. Heather, our electrolytes are coming in early January. It's not available in New York, Cindy, because of legal issues. New York just doesn't let us. So what pathway do you want me to show you, folks? So I see histamine. It's pretty popular. Glutathione, histamine. Okay. So histamine drives inflammation, Samantha. So that's an important thing to understand, that, we want to focus on the histamine or the inflammation pathways, but histamine is a signaling compound to trigger inflammation, to drive in the immune system, to drive in blood flow. So histamine is pretty significant. Okay. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the histamine pathway. So you scroll up here. This is my wife's genetic report. So she's shared this with me with her permission. Okay. So here's the footer right down here. Okay. So, and this StrateGene has been validated by a third-party testing and a third-party lab. So, and it's got certifications. So we're certified by, our report is certified by CLIA and CAP. So that is pretty high-level certification. So that is something else that you want to make sure is done, okay, by your genetic test. So let's look at histamine. So I'm going to click this, and here's your histamine pathway. And you're going to look at this, and you're going to like, oh my God, what the heck am I looking at? What you are looking at are the dominoes. And if you just look on the genetic report that is done by, say, 23andMe or some other genetic report, what they're going to show you is they're just going to show you DAO, which is the gene that's associated with breaking down histamine in the placenta or the small intestine, the large intestine, or other places in your body. It breaks down histamine outside the cell. So from food, from bacteria, and from wine or drink. Okay, so you're just going to learn about DAO by itself, and that's great. But more importantly, what you need to understand is how DAO interacts with different genes. How does DAO communicate with other genes, and what does DAO do? So you can see that DAO is connected to histamine. See here, follow the arrows. So here's histamine, and you follow the black arrow to the DAO gene, all right? And it says right here, outside the cells, food, drink, and the microbiome. So histamine comes into the DAO gene. And what slows down the DAO gene? Look, this purple stuff. See the purple stuff here? What's that mean? Right here's the key. It decreases the activity. So here's the gene and the enzyme in the bubble. Right here, DAO is a gene. This purple stuff slows down that particular gene. So gut inflammation, the drug metformin, alcohol and acetaldehyde comes from alcohol metabolism, also comes from yeast overgrowth. Those slow down the DAO enzyme. And what else can slow it down? Well, these are the nutrients needed to make the DAO enzyme work. See this green stuff? Right here, cofactors. Cofactors are what drives the enzyme when it's working. So the gene DAO makes the enzyme, the DAO enzyme, but the DAO enzyme won't do anything unless it has sufficient copper, calcium, and water. So if you're dehydrated and don't have sufficient calcium or copper on board, it's not going to work very well. Now, if you have sufficient copper or calcium and you're well hydrated, but you're taking the drug metformin, or you are consuming alcohol, or you have gut inflammation because you're eating foods that you shouldn't be eating, you did a food allergy test and you're reactive to blueberries, avocados, or gluten or whatever, and you're eating those, that's causing gut inflammation, which is then telling your DAO, it's preventing your DAO enzyme to work. See, this is a holistic approach that I'm talking about. I haven't even talked about the SNP yet. I haven't even talked about the SNP of DAO yet, but here it is. This speed bar, see this purple line right here? So this purple line right here, this is the genetic variation that my wife has. Her DAO is slower. See this purple line here inside the speed bar? Right here. It means it's slow. So my wife has inherited a slower DAO. You don't have to understand all the weird gobbledygook of which RSID it is. You don't need to look at, all this different types of crazy weird information, what variant allele it is. It doesn't matter. What you need to know ultimately is if your DAO has been born at a typical speed, slower, intermediate, or faster. That's all you need to know. And so by knowing that, my wife is going to look at this and say, wow, histamine coming from food, drink, or the microbiome, I can't really metabolize it very well. It's going to be kind of stuck. So I can't be consuming that much alcohol. Or if I have gut inflammation, I need to be really dialing it in. I got to make sure my copper and my calcium is dialed in, right? So all this stuff starts really making sense. Or if you're diabetic and you go to the doctor and you have a slow DAO enzyme like my wife does here, and you're prescribed metformin, and you start getting diarrhea or stomach complaints or irritability or anxiety or insomnia, all that stuff is associated with higher histamine. And metformin causes all that stuff. These are common side effects of metformin. Why? Because it slows the DAO enzyme is one reason. And so you learn that. So then you look at your genetic report from StrateGene, and you're like, doc, look, I have a slower DAO enzyme and I have gut inflammation and I've been working on it, but you also prescribed me metformin. I got to get off this thing. And they're like, what are you talking about? So you show them, you physically show them your report, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. And now they have gotten compliant with you, and they're more likely to listen to you and take action. So that is a really important point. If you bring something that is, not credible to your health professional to try to make a change in your life, how does that work for you, right? It doesn't. But if you bring something that's credible and well-researched and looks like this, they're going to be like, oh my God, that is really neat. Yeah, we do need to get you off metformin and we'll switch you on to something else. So it really helps with your relationship with your health professional, and it also helps with your decision making. So any questions from what I just talked about here regarding the DAO SNP and histamine and how this particular thing works? and how my wife has inherited a slower one, and this gut inflammation and this purple stuff slows the gene down, and genes need, or they produce enzymes that need cofactors. This is a basic concept that applies everywhere on StrateGene. Does that make sense? Does this stuff make sense to you, what I'm sharing? Go ahead and comment below. Crickets. Come on, folks, unless there's a delay here, which there very well could be. Sandy, so if you purchase the test, will someone help us interpret? Sandy, there's all sorts of videos that you get within the back end of StrateGene. And those will help you interpret. So we've given you lots of education that you can use on your own without spending hundreds or thousands of dollars, hundreds or thousands, hopefully not hundreds and thousands of your dollars, that you can just learn yourself. And you really should learn this yourself, because what's going to happen if you go to health professionals that don't understand this, they're just going to give you a bunch of information. And you're going to walk out with 20 supplement bottles, which cost you $300, more than the StrateGene DNA kit. And you're going to be supplementing your way, trying to get better. Whereas all you need to do is look at this diagram in front of you and say, wow, I need to cut down on my alcohol. I need to fix my leaky gut. I need to reduce, the histamine foods in the drink, and make sure I'm looking at my microbiome, that, I'm not consuming fermented foods or probiotics that are high histamine producers like Lactobacillus bulgaricus. And how do you know that? Well, watch this. See, I can click that. See how my mouse changes? Okay. So I click this and it takes me right to the DAO gene information. And so these are the SNPs that my wife has inherited right here. So she's inherited an RSID, this long gobbledygook number. But ultimately what you need to know about a genetic variant is the action it puts on the gene itself. So a slightly less activity compared to someone who doesn't have this variant. And this other one has approximately 30% less activity. Okay. So my wife has over 30% reduced ability in her DAO enzyme. A third. She has a third less. Do you think that's significant? So if you have Thanksgiving, and let's say somebody was drinking kombucha and had some red wine with dinner, and then had some cheese and some fish and some leftovers the next day, all that is high histamine. And the person sitting to your left and to the right of you may be completely fine. But you are sitting there hot, red in the face, headache, irritable, maybe your nose starts to run, and you're like, what's going on? I'm eating the same thing they are, but I can't handle that. Well, my wife has at least third slower DAO enzyme than probably people on either side of her. So when you know that and you start feeling that way, and somebody says, would you like some more wine? You say, no, I'm good at the moment. I'm just going to drink some water, and maybe I'll take a DAO enzyme actually. So you're there and you need to take action. So what you're going to learn is what cleans your particular DAO gene. How can I take action right now, sitting there? What can I do to feel better? I need to stop drinking the alcohol. I need to drink some water, and I need to focus on different foods. And then I can be looking at supplements to help me out here. So you can look at a probiotic, which is known to reduce histamine. So you can reach for one of those. I talked about those before. You can also get a DAO enzyme supplement with you when you go out to dinner, or breakfast or lunch or whenever, or to the pub. And so you can supplement with that. So now if you know these things, you can prepare in advance of the actions that you need to take. And see, we also tell you here, these are the supplements which dirty your gene. So remember when I was telling you, if it was immune at the time, that if you supplemented with a certain prenatal, maybe it didn't work really well for you. And maybe a probiotic works really well for your daughter or your husband, but for you and your son, that probiotic just makes you feel terrible, awful. And how could that be? Well, if you have a slow DAO gene, these two strains right here, Lactobacillus fermentum and bulgaricus, can wreck you. they can really wreck you because they produce histamine, increased histamine. So if you go and you're trying to just get a 23andMe and you want to get some basic information, that's fine. That can work for you, maybe, but you're not getting the whole picture. So I recommend that you get the StrateGene DNA kit and get that ordered up. And we have the special going on right now that expires in a couple more days, and it's $30 off. So I really want you to take advantage of that before you lose that opportunity. So, and again, that is, I'm going to close this here. So where is it? Yeah, right here. So you can go to seekinghealth.com. So go to seekinghealth.com and you can click right on the banner and get $30 off of StrateGene. And it takes you right to the StrateGene DNA kit and you can grab it, okay? And then you get the report. And then what you do is you also get right inside, you're gonna go to StrateGene.me. And you're going to activate your kit, okay? And then you're going to activate it. And then eventually, once you're able to log in, you're going to log in and you're going to see all the education stuff. Oh, I need to get my password. 1 second. So I remember all my passwords. So you can go to the education portal. And these are all the resources that you're going to get to learn how to support your genes and understand your StrateGene report. And there's more being added. And I'm making more right now as we speak. So I'm making, the first thing you do when you get your StrateGene report. And then I'm going pathway by pathway. And I'm walking through each pathway to help you understand what you're looking at, okay? So there's that. I'm gonna be looking at some questions here. Yeah, tell New York to stop all their nonsense. You take this over 23andMe all day. Yeah, Mike, I hear you. Yeah. Amanda, you have PCOS and this would help give you some answers. Yes, it would really help with that. PCOS is associated with a lot of toxicity, imbalanced in glucose metabolism, higher estrogen levels, testosterone imbalance, progesterone issues, and so on. And we are working on new reports all the time. So as we get more research, we are going to be making new reports. So if you get your StrateGene DNA kit today, what you're going to see in a couple months from now is we're going to have a vitamin D planner. So you saw with the histamine planner, but we're going to come with a vitamin D one, and we show the genes that are used to make vitamin D, to break vitamin D down, and the activation of it, and we show all that. And then we also explain how it all works, and you're going to see how your own genes are working with vitamin D and the epigenetic control of every one of those genes. So insulin affects vitamin D metabolism, and vitamin D affects insulin. So, and then there's vitamin A associations, and then there's fructose. So high fructose corn syrup impacts your vitamin D, and you're going to see all that. So, but once you get your StrateGene DNA kit, that's going to open the door for you to obtain these other pathways that we're going to be offering. And the pathways themselves will be inexpensive. So maybe the vitamin D will be like, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks. And then the hormone report will come out, and that'll be around 30, 40 bucks. And so you'll be getting these additional reports, but you've already done the genetic test. The genetic test is done. You've spent the, whatever it is, it's 200 and some dollars right now. So what is it? $265, okay? So if you spend $265, you will have spent that, and it's a one and done thing. And then you're going to get this 122 page report, and you're going to be making a lot of actions and guided actions. So over time, you're going to learn how it all works. And yes, we do have health professionals that are trained. So if you go to seekinghealth.com and ask my team to provide you with some recommendations of health professionals who can help interpret your StrateGene, yes, they can. They can absolutely do that for you. But I really caution you against just making that jump, because you're going to be spending hundreds of dollars, and all you need to do is dedicate that same amount of time that you would otherwise spend with the health professional, and just by looking. And so here's the ultimate thing that I really want you to do. When you get your StrateGene test, so you ordered a StrateGene kit, go to Seeking Health and get that. You're going to be getting the book in the mail. Read the book, because after you spit and you send in your test sample, it's like 4 to 6 weeks until you get your report back. So it's a perfect time to get your book and read through it. And then I want you to go through the Dirty Genes quizzes. Okay, and I want you to answer those laundry list quizzes in here. So on the, trying to find it. So in the paperback version, because they're stopping to make the hard copy, the hardback. So there's this one here, the laundry list 2. It starts on page 267. Okay, so you're going to check each box if the condition has occurred frequently, or if it's generally true. So you answer these particular questions here, okay, and you're going to see if your genes are dirty. And if these genes are dirty, you're going to look on your StrateGene report, and you're going to learn more about it, and you take more actions, because this is simple science. StrateGene ups the game to more complicated stuff, more thorough. So you're going to get the basics from here, and then you're going to combine that with your StrateGene report that's higher level and more scientific, so then you get a better outcome. So it's a great team effort. So if you find out that your DAO enzyme is super, super dirty, then you can come in here and you can start learning of how to clean up your DAO gene, right? So I'm going to go back to looking at this. Gary, so I'm going to post a comment. So here is the link. All right, I should have done that earlier. I just get so caught up in teaching. Okay. It should post. Yep, so I just posted the kit. And let's see, reading some question here. Sheila, you have lupus and RA and possibly MG. I'm not sure what MG is. You flush all the time from heat, eating, and the sun and alcohol. You've been told that you have rosacea. You have your StrateGene report. What should you be looking at? Sheila, since you've got your StrateGene report, you've also got the book Dirty Genes. Take the quiz like I just went through. Find out your dirtiest gene. And I believe, based upon the symptoms that you just shared, you're going to be looking at the histamine pathway. Rosacea, flushing, higher heat, autoimmune conditions, because histamine stimulates the immune system, and an overstimulated immune system leads to autoimmune conditions. So looking at the histamine pathway is going to give you a big, big insight, okay? And so what you need to really start focusing on and just look at the pathway. And you can look at your genes as well. So, are you like Nadia here, where she has a slow DAO and a slow LDH? If so, you need to be really cutting back on the higher histamine foods. Nadia does not have genetic variants in the H and MT gene, but that doesn't mean that it's working very well, because it requires SAMe and methylation to work, and you need to learn about that. So, but I would be really focusing on here and look at what releases histamine. So dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, higher estrogen levels, infections, allergies, alcohol, right? So all these things increase the release of histamine. And these are the things which reduce the release of histamine. So you could be considering supplementing with quercetin, urtica, curcumin, theanine, astragalus, and vitamin C to blunt the response. So if high dopamine and epinephrine and norepinephrine increase the release, those are all associated with also stress. So you got to reduce stress levels. Okay. So it's all in here to give you an insight. The key is understanding where you should start, and the where you should start is with the laundry list of dirty genes. Christine, this is interesting. Okay, so Christine has a high level of mycotoxins she needs to get rid of. Okay, she's currently reading the book and she knows she has some dirty genes. She just started taking glutathione plus, but she also wants to take the DNA, but it's not available in Canada. I know, it's a bummer. We're working on ways around it all for international. We're getting there. Okay, it's legal stuff. But you want to see how mycotoxins impact some pathways? Let me show you. So thankfully, Christine is utilizing glutathione, because here's your glutathione. Here's how your body makes glutathione. See, here's homocysteine. You think that homocysteine is bad, right? But it's not. Homocysteine is not bad. Sorry, I text my wife. Okay, you need homocysteine, and you actually need homocysteine to help make your glutathione. Isn't that interesting, right? So you need homocysteine to make your glutathione, but look what happens. Here's mold. Mold, and make this bigger. Mold reduces your ability. See this? Mold, it's purple. It reduces her ability to even make glutathione. Here's the gene in the bubble, and this gene in the bubble needs energy as ATP and glutamate in order to take cysteine. Let's say she was supplementing with N-acetylcysteine, but it wasn't working for her. She didn't feel any improvement. And that's because mold is slowing this particular gene down. And my wife has a slower ability to convert cysteine into glutamylcysteine and eventually into glutathione. So if my wife was supplementing with N-acetylcysteine, was exposed to mold or had some underlying infections, and she was thinking that she was increasing her glutathione, she probably wasn't doing a very good job of it. So if you are taking N-acetylcysteine, which provides cysteine, and you're not feeling better, it could be because you have underlying infections or exposed to mold, or you might have a genetic variant in this GCLC gene, which is reducing your ability to convert the N-acetylcysteine that you're supplementing with to make it into glutathione. And you hear all the time that NAC makes glutathione. In a perfect system and a very perfect healthy person, yes, that is true, but not everyone can. And that's why you need to be looking at your genetics in order to determine this thing. And now let's look at GCLC gene, right? So we need to be looking at this, and let's zoom out a little bit. So my wife has a variant which reduces the function of the enzyme, okay, which reduces in lower levels of reduced glutathione. So my wife has a reduced ability genetically to even make glutathione. So that is where it's super handy to know that what your genetics are. So when you understand what your genes are, you can take actions on. So if you've been supplementing with NAC because your doctor says this is a great way to increase your glutathione levels, you go home and you look at your pathway and you're like, here's cysteine, here's my glutathione, but I have mold, that's what we're fighting, and I have this genetic variant, and my mitochondrial function isn't very good, so I need ATP to make this work, and I need to talk to my doctor about using liposomal glutathione or S-acetylglutathione instead. See, catch my drift? It's very, very important that you understand these things. Samantha, exactly. So Samantha says here, NAC did nothing for her. She needed to use liposomal glutathione. There is a glossary as part of the report. Absolutely, Joyce. Yes, 100%. There's a glossary in the quick start guide. So I'm going to show you that here. So, so you can go to education. So you can click the, I'm not sharing my screen. So let me share this. So you can go on the footer here. There's a link here. It says education. Within the education, there's a glossary, and the Super 7 is another glossary. Or actually, no, right here. How to understand your StrateGene report, which opened a new window. Oh, that's unfortunate. But yes, there is a glossary. Linda, would you be able to interpret it without a practitioner? There is a lot of easy to learn words. So what you need to be doing in the beginning is you need to read the book. So first you're going to read the book. And then if you read the book and you do the laundry list quiz, like on page 266 or so, you're going to start making those changes, right? You're going to find out which genes are dirty. And then you're going to go to the dirty genes pathway, which we have right here. So you're going to go to the dirty genes pathway and you're like, oh yeah. So I actually did score really high on my MTHFR. It was really dirty. So I need to learn about this. But my COMT was actually rated as fast on my quiz, even though I've inherited a slower COMT here. I've fast in the book. So that's interesting. So I'm opposite of what my genetics tell me, because epigenetics can override your genetics, which is all the more reason why you need to look at your genetics and read the book Dirty Genes at the same time. And you need to understand the epigenetic controls of that particular gene, because the genes that you're born with are not set in how they function. You are not born with a slow COMT gene forever. You can speed it up. It can be working just fine. It actually can going too fast. And I explain all that in the book. So do you need a practitioner? You need a practitioner if you don't want to learn. That's the bottom line. If you want to dedicate time to learning and reading the book and going through your report gene by gene and understanding and watching the videos, you're going to be just fine. Just fine. Now, if you're going to get, say, 50, 60% improvement on your own and you get stuck, yes, now you're going to want to combine your StrateGene report with your health professional to get further along. And at Seeking Health, we do have a short list of health professionals that can help train you and guide you through your StrateGene report. And they're very, very good. We used to have a long list of health professionals to guide you through StrateGene, but we learned that they weren't good. They did say that, they did complete online training, but it was from conferences and they weren't that good. So we pulled them all. And so we're working on a full-on certification course for StrateGene. So right now we have a short list. In the future, we'll have a long list. So I recommend taking advantage of the sale that we have right now, which is $30 off. Get your StrateGene. You'll get it in about 4 to 6 weeks. You're going to get the book right away. You're going to read through it. You're going to get access to the Dirty Genes course and all those other videos. And you can read, and watch those videos. And by the time your StrateGene report comes along, you're going to have this amazing base and foundation of information to get started. Okay. So yes, ultimately you will need a health professional. We all need health professionals. So my kids went and saw my doctor today. I have my own doctor. So yes, we need our own health professionals as well. Nasally, can you get your kids tested? Absolutely. Yeah, so we have the two types of kits. So we have the swab kit and we have the spit test. So an 8-year-old kid could be doing the spit test most likely. Sandy, is there more of a discount if you purchase more than one kit? Sandy, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's a discount for more than one. Our margin, honestly, on the $295 is not that great. So we originally priced this test at $395. And I asked my controller and CFO at Seeking Health, can we knock the price down even more? And I said, well, we don't really want to because we need to pay for the infrastructure and all that. And I said, well, can we? And they said, well, if you want to. I said, well, I want to. So we knocked it down to $295. And so $295 leaves us with a pretty slim margin. So, and we're constantly researching and adding, and we have a team of experts that's behind StrateGene, which we're paying every single day as well. So it's a slim margin, surprisingly. Stuff is expensive, and all the infrastructure is expensive. I'm not saying that to cry me a river. I just want you to know that developing something of this scale is very expensive, okay, on our side. So this was, in excess of $1 million, more than, and it's well more than, okay? So just understand there's a lot of costs involved, and that was the setup costs. And now we have the ongoing costs. So we have to pay a lab to take your sample and process the sample, and we have to pay for the kit, and we have to pay for the shipping there and back. We have to pay the team. So it's a lot, right? And the security and the website and the infrastructure and the development, it's basically, this is not a profitable thing, but this is a service that we really feel that it's important to get to you. So, we do well on the supplement side of things because of the volume. And with StrateGene, we just need to get the information in your hands so you can make good decisions and strategic decisions. Let's see. Kathy, do we check for von Willebrand's disease? We do not check for any diseases. StrateGene does not test for health conditions. We do not test for hemochromatosis. We do not test for cystic fibrosis. We do not test for celiac disease. We do not check for disease-related genetics. We just do not do that because it's not right for you to get a genetic report and then say that you have a disease sitting there home alone without, an expert there to guide you. That is not appropriate. And so we do not do that. We show you genetic variations that are common in the population that have an impact on the gene's function, but are not directly disease causing. It's important that you know that your DAO enzyme is 33% slower or so, or your MTHFR gene is 70% slower, but it's not necessarily associated with schizophrenia or hypertension. It may be, a part of that system, but it's not going to cause that, right? It's not causative. So that's what we do. We show you, medium impact genetics, which you can then support through lifestyle, environmental, and dietary changes and nutrient changes. That to me is very powerful. So if you can get a genetic test which is empowering, like StrateGene, compared to getting a genetic test that says you are, you have von Willebrand's disease or celiac, or your odds of getting prostate cancer are 1.76, higher than the typical person. That's not helpful. Gary, you can use Visa. Yes. So if you go to signal.com, you can use your Visa or MasterCard or PayPal or Amex. Yeah. Olival, do we show ApoE gene status? We do not. We pulled that. We pulled that because there's a lot of stigma with the ApoE, and there's way more to ApoE than just understanding. I will say that it's an important gene to know and understand, but we do not feel it's appropriate to give you that information, all the fear that's involved with it. We do not want to provide you, we don't want to give you fear. We want to empower you. So our genetic test is designed to guide you and teach you and to empower you. It's not designed to scare the crap out of you. And so let me show you what I mean by that, right on the first page. Okay, so right here. Right here. Okay, read this. What you're about to uncover in these upcoming pages is powerful. By discovering your unique genetic makeup using StrateGene, you'll learn how you can truly optimize your life. There is no such thing as a bad or good report. You won't find any red or yellow colors here that symbolize bad or warning. Instead, you'll learn that some of your genes naturally work slower and some naturally work faster. It's important that you know this information so you can adapt. If you do not know how your genes are built, you have no idea how your choices impact you. You can change the way your genes function by changing your environment, mindset, food, and lifestyle. And StrateGene helps you make targeted choice after targeted choice, which creates the optimal environment for your genes, one choice at a time. So it is not a negative thing. You are not going to get StrateGene and be scared. That's not, I mean, I can't say what emotion you're going to feel. You might still be scared, because you might, like, there was a person in the StrateGene Facebook group, she got her StrateGene report back and she was like, oh my gosh, I have, a slow MTHFR, a slow COMT, a slow DAO. What am I going to do? And she missed the point. She has the book. She didn't probably read the book, and she probably didn't read this either, right? So it's okay that you have slower genes, and it could actually be good that you have a slower COMT. So you need to understand that having the speed is important to know. So if it's slower, you need to sometimes do things to speed it up. And if it's faster, you might need to do some things to slow it down. And if you were born slower and you're currently great, that means it's really balanced and you're doing a great job, right? So if you have a slow COMT like my wife does here, but you're on vacation or you're doing something and you're enjoying life and you have a great mood, your COMT is balanced. And you get your Dutch hormone test, you do a hormone test, and your estrogens are fine. You're totally fine. So just because you're born with a slower COMT gene it's not a sentence saying that, oh, you're in trouble. It's just showing how it's functioning. Make sense? Kathy, it would be nice to know what to do if one has an ApoE gene. Read a book. Yeah, read books on read The End of Alzheimer's. That's a great book. Reading Dirty Genes, it's good. And you can just go, I agree, it is important to know. I do agree, and you can even get 23andMe and get ApoE status that way. Yeah. Let's see. Dementia. Edward. Wow. Yes. Dementia is, sorry, there's some good questions in here. I'm getting distracted by reading them all. Tom, does it matter which kit, tube or swab? Was one more accurate? Tom, they're both good. If you can spit, do the saliva. And folks, when you get your StrateGene kit in the mail and it comes to your house or your office and you're all excited to spit and send it right back right away, don't. That's what I did. And I got a dud, right? My own company, right? I didn't follow the directions. The directions are right on the box. Follow the directions to a T so you get the best sample possible, okay? Do them right. So nothing in your mouth for 30 minutes. Nothing. No water, no gum, no spray, no mouth fresheners, no Altoids, nothing. No sips of water, nothing for 30 minutes. It's easy to do. Set a timer on your phone and then get after your collection. But if you can spit, do the saliva. If you can't spit, do the cheek. So there was a great question in here. Where was it? Where'd it go? Oh, here, Kathy. No, Edward. What about dementia? There's a lot of genes that are associated with dementia. So another thing that you can do is, let's see, I'm going to type, let's see if I can type in dementia. So dementia doesn't come up. So you have to be careful with the FDA, right? So we can't be making disease claims. Memory is showing up here. Okay. So what I did is right here, I did a Control F. So if you go on your own computer and you type Control F, I typed memory. And if you do that in your StrateGene report, you can find keywords that are somewhere in those 100 some pages. So we have the DRD2 gene, which is associated with the dopamine receptor. Okay. So this is very, very important gene for memory. The next one is the reuptake transporter for norepinephrine, which is associated with memory and learning. And then we have the HTR2A gene is associated with memory and learning as well. So this is a receptor for serotonin. So if there's a keyword that you really want to be looking for, you can do Control F or whatever it is, or Option F if it's a Mac, and you can search a report really quickly to find things. But know that we are not going to be using health conditions in the report. So don't type in things like rheumatoid arthritis or dementia or Alzheimer's, because it's not gonna be there because of FDA rules. Okay. Adam, is there a way you can figure out if you have dirty genes without doing the test? Yeah, absolutely. Read the book, Adam. So, Adam, if you read this book right here, you can find out, a lot about your genes for sure. It's a great place to start. So, get the book, Dirty Genes, and if you want to level up and you want to learn more about your other genes, you can do that. So, here's the dopamine pathway for my wife, right? This is a lot of information, right? So here's her ability to make dopamine. So here's dopamine. These are the genes that are required to make it. Here's how she gets rid of it right here. Here's how it's transported and gets to the receptor over here. And here's how it's broken down into norepinephrine and epinephrine. And here's how you get rid of your epinephrine and all the genes associated with it. So it's really cool to know how your genes are working. And this red stuff, so when you guys were asking me, does it talk about dementia or cognitive function? So these red things are bad, okay? So dopamine can lead to these red things: quinone, aminochrome, dopal, hydrogen peroxide, ammonia, and all of these things can contribute to dementia or cognitive dysfunction or headaches or migraines, okay? And here's another one and another one. So as you're making your neurotransmitters in your brain, you're also making dopal and hydrogen peroxide and ammonia. You're making these things, and you need to learn how to clear them out. And you need to know if you have a higher rate of making them. So look right here. So my wife, let's say she makes dopamine, right? So she has sufficient dopamine, and here's the main route to get rid of dopamine through her MAO-A genes. This one is faster. So she clears her dopamine out faster here, and this one's typical speed. And then she's making this toxic dopal. See that? So this is toxic, and this gene is slower. This ALDH gene is slower. So she has an increased risk of having higher amounts of dopal, which is bad for memory, bad for cognitive function, bad for potential increasing of migraines or headaches and so on. And if she's taking aspirin, it's going to slow down even more. Because see the purple stuff? Or if she's deficient in riboflavin or in niacin and vitamin B1 or thiamine, it's also a problem. So you can see quickly here, if this is stuck, what do I need to do to get rid of it? Support this gene. What I need to slow down from building it up, I need to support other routes, right? So is StrateGene, are you going to understand StrateGene right away? No, absolutely not. But it's a life's tool. It's like you buy a piano, you want to learn how to make music. You're going to suck at first. You can do chopsticks or do a couple chords. And it's going to sound good. And you're going to progress. And later you'll be doing Mozart and Beethoven and whatever else. But it's going to take you a while. So, I am pretty darn good with this stuff now, but it's been 10 years. Okay. It's been 10 years. So, all right. So who's going to get StrateGene? If you're on the fence about StrateGene, say you're on the fence, but now, let me know if I've got you to jump over and you're excited about diving in. And it's $30 off right now at Seeing Health. So I would love for you to go to Seeing Health and pick up that StrateGene test so you can get going on it. So who's excited about StrateGene? All right, Samantha. Good. Sandy. Excellent. Nasli, can I share the link? Yeah. So awesome, Susan. Awesome, Sandy. Good job, Sharon. Sharon, you already had it. So what do you think? What do you think, Sharon? Adam, you can get the book at Amazon.com. I think you've heard of it. And I think you can even save $5 on it right now. There's some special. Clean glutathione, Mike, Signal.com. We have capsules of glutathione, very clean. Very, very clean. You're still nervous about understanding it all, Marilyn? You know what? Let me be frank. You will never understand it all. I will never understand it all. You have to start somewhere. And you're just going to find a gene. So where you're going to start is you're going to look at the quizzes in here. You're going to find a dirty gene, and you're going to read about that in your strategy, and you can see what gene, how you've inherited it. Is that gene slower or faster? And this comes with it. You get it with it, okay? So you're going to start simple, start baby steps. If I had the same fear as you, Marilyn, this would have never been made. I have conversations every single day with my StrateGene team, my research team, about decisions of how we're going to be providing you this information as accurately as possible with the knowledge that we have. And we are very, very careful not to make assumptions and give you false information. For example, there was this particular gene that's associated with psychosis. And if you have higher levels of N-methylhistamine, which is a breakdown component of histamine, then it may increase risk of schizophrenia. I wrote it in such a way that it was associated with some particular SNP, and I was wrong, and she caught it. She goes, Ben, it's not associated with that SNP at all. It's associated with the disease state in the gene. So that's the level of detail that we're working on. If I just completely went over your head, that's fine. But I'm just sharing with you that I and my team are constantly learning about this all the time. So it is very, very difficult. And but at the same time, it's very rewarding when you look at your StrateGene report and you've been struggling with something your whole life, and it's right in front of you, and you make that one change, and you're like 20% better, like that. It's just amazing. So, and you're going to keep making those things every single day, and as you look at it, and you're going to keep learning. So, I would keep going at it, and you're going to, you're going to learn. But yes, it is daunting. But just have the mindset of focusing on one gene. That's going to carry you. Stephanie, can you use the 23andMe raw data for StrateGene? Stephanie, we're talking with our lawyers about that at the moment. I know you're wondering why that's even talking with lawyers about it, but we're just really thorough. So we're talking with our legal team about it. But let me share something with that. Let's say we did offer the ability for you to get StrateGene and use your 23andMe data. If we did, you would have 40% less data. You'd have 40% less information on your StrateGene report, because StrateGene tests for 40% more genetic variants than 23andMe, 40% more. So if 23andMe costs $100 and you run your StrateGene report, let's say it was $150, right? Let's say it's $100 cheaper than getting the test. So that's $250. So 23andMe's, you've already paid for it. That was $100. Now let's say you get the report, and the report would be about $150. That's $250 that you've invested in, but you have 40% less of the information. So we're uncomfortable about opening it up to 23andMe raw data, because you're going to be frustrated not having all that information. I know that it sucks that you've spent money on 23andMe. I spent money on 23andMe. I spent money on countless genetic tests. I've done so many, but it's my business, right? But I get it. I would say you would be a lot happier by getting the StrateGene kit and having the 40% more SNPs that are health related and very, very actionable than trying to save $100. So I commit personally, but that's me. Melissa, the list of practitioners that can read StrateGene, available at seekinghealth.com. Ask my team. We do not publish that list because those doctors would be absolutely inundated. Honestly, they're probably already inundated. But, they can help. Jolene, yeah, you got to start reading it. I'm with you. I buy a lot of books on Amazon and they're still sitting around. Jessica, yeah, you just bought 23andMe. I hear you. I would get the StrateGene kit, and I'd give the 23andMe to someone else for Christmas, possibly, or if you've already used it, StrateGene. We're not going to have $30 off all the time, folks, on StrateGene. We just do not have enough profit margin to do that. That $30 is a significant hit to us. But that's totally cool. We are happy to give it to you, but we just can't do it all the time. Christine, more doctors like me. Yeah, we're working on it. We're training more. Ancestry is the same, folks. So if you've bought Ancestry, you're going to have like a 35% less information compared to StrateGene. We custom built the StrateGene genetic test. It's custom made. So we took a backbone genetic information, so a backbone chip, and then we added another 333 SNPs to it. And the backbone that we have is more health related and health focused than the Ancestry. Because Ancestry is Ancestry. That's what they focus on. And so our chip is way more health focused. And we've been scouring the research for 5 solid years, finding very, very important SNPs, which 23andMe and Ancestry don't even report. They don't even know that probably are out there, or they don't care. Kimberly, does StrateGene provide whole genome raw data? No. Whole genome data is too expensive at the moment. This would be $1,000. And the amount of information you would have, it would be staggering. And it's not, to me, it's not worth it at this point. Maybe later, in 3 years, 5 years, it might be worth it. But it's not worth it at this point in time. Ayla, this is 265. Yes, it is a great value, but it is what you value. If you think for you 265 is expensive for StrateGene, but going out to dinner for $50 to $60 is of value, it's just where you value, and that's totally cool. I value understanding how my body works immensely. I do not value going out to restaurants very much, and I don't value clothes very much. This is Costco. I'm wearing everything on me is from Costco. So it all depends on what you value. It's okay. Yeah, and Star, you just did another genetic test 3 months ago from someone else. I get it. There is nothing better than StrateGene, which is why we made it. I did not want to make StrateGene. I did not want to do it. I didn't want to take the time because I have a lot of other things I have to be doing as well. But we had to, because the amount of nonsense and all these other genetic reports on the market are not helping people. I have not found one good genetic test on the market today that I can confidently recommend. I can't with all. Well, one, DNA Fit. DNA Fit is okay. It's okay. I think they make some claims that are pretty big. I did it, and it says, I have increased risk for tearing my, tendons and ligaments. Knock on wood, I've never done that, and I've been an athlete my whole life. I was a college athlete as well. I've been hit hard on soccer fields. I've been rowing. I've been playing basketball, skiing, tennis. Lots of different sports, basketball, and I've been good. So even though I had apparently really weak ligaments and tendons, I'm okay, knock on wood. But my health is also good. So you need to also look at the epigenetics. And so StrateGene is looking at the epigenetics in your lifestyle, whereas all these other genetic reports, from my understanding, are not. You're just not getting that. Yeah, it's a tough time too. I hear you with this whole COVID thing, for sure. Katie, you're having so many aha moments with this new report. I cannot tell you how much Dirty Genes and StrateGene has helped you. Fantastic. Katie, can you give me an example? What did you find on your StrateGene report that was like this big aha moment for you, or it just really helped you? Melissa, the test results will not vary. These are genetic. It's a genetic test. If the lab sucked, yeah, you would get different lab results possibly. Ours went through a whole series of quality checks and still has quality checks even today. So when you order a StrateGene kit, we run samples against a control and another control and also gender. So there's controls in place that we put in, and if things are not lining up right, then we toss the sample or rerun it. Okay. Jessica, I believe the deal ends. Let me check my phone. Deal ends December 4th. December 4th is, what is that? I don't know. Sometimes this week, probably. All right. So I'm excited for you all to get this. This is going to be, so my job for Seeking Health, as the president of Seeking Health and founder, my job is to educate you. That's my job. So, and to create tools so you can, figure out how to support yourself. We want you to help you as much as you can without having to guess at which supplements you want to buy. We don't want you to buy a supplement, without an educated, without being educated. And we do not want you to make lifestyle choices without having some type of guidance behind those things. It takes time, investment, right? So we've created tools for you, courses and StrateGene and supplements, so you can improve yourself. But my job is to guide you and educate you as much as possible so you can get the right supplements and you can understand your StrateGene report. So you're going to be seeing lots more education from me on StrateGene, and you're going to be seeing that's going to be the primary focus now, because a lot of people are getting StrateGene, and I got to get more training for you. So that's happening right now. And then we're creating a certification course for health professionals as well, so we can train them up so you have a bigger bandwidth to seek out professional help. But that, while we're doing that, right now, you got $30 off the kit. Okay. So I will jump on, I would recommend jumping on seekinghealth.com, clicking the main banner, saying add to cart, and committing to that $265, and get your genetic test going and in the pipeline. Because after 6 weeks, that's a new year. You're already in 2021, and you don't want to be guessing. If you've bought, say you buy 5 different supplements, that could be upwards of $200 spent, right? And if you've been guessing about what supplements you're wanting to get, because $40 is okay to spend, but $265 isn't, but you spend $40 on all these different supplements and they're all wrong for you, how many times have you done that? I spent thousands of dollars on supplements that were wrong for me, or they were right, but I just wasn't using them properly. So StrateGene will help you figure that out. So ultimately, StrateGene will save you money, a lot of money. Kathleen, will StrateGene help elderly people if they want to commit to some lifestyle, dietary, nutrient changes? 100%. Yes, absolutely. Christine, yep, we're working on international for sure. For sure. Awesome, Debbie. Say thank you to your health professional for that and your doc. Heidi, supplements are recommended. Supplements, folks, are recommended in a general way. We do not tell you which seeking health supplement to take. We do not tell you which dosages to take. We inform you what nutrients and compounds and herbs and vitamins and minerals can be supportive of particular genes and problematic for certain genes. But we do not go out and tell you to take 200 milligrams of magnesium threonate, or we do not say take 1 teaspoon of, since you have a slow glutathione gene, you can't make glutathione very well, take 1 teaspoon of optimal liposomal glutathione every day. You want that. I know you want that. But long term, I would be hurting you. I would be lying to you, I'd be wrong. I don't know if you need a teaspoon of liposomal glutathione a day. And maybe you don't want to buy liposomal glutathione from Seeking Health. Maybe you don't tolerate glutathione. And maybe you don't need a teaspoon a day. Maybe you need a couple drops a day because you're on vacation, but you just got hit up with a chlorine exposure at a swimming pool or a hot tub. So now you need more glutathione that particular day. So it's important for you to understand which nutrients you need, when you need it, and why you need it. We give you that information. We will not ever give you set dosages or specific brand name supplements to use and when to use it, because that is wrong. That is the type of misinformation that just frankly pisses me off. And that is the standard garbage out there on the net. And it's wrong. It's wrong. So people go out and look for genetic reports that will give them that information because it's easier and you can feel confident thinking that it's right because it's a beautiful PDF and it's well displayed and you have this genetic variant that shows you that you need it. But at the end of the day, you buy it, you take it. Some of those genes is going to help you. Other ones it's going to backfire. And you still don't know why. You still don't know why you need it and all the other genes it interacts with and the lifestyle, environment, and dietary components that it works with. You just have no idea. So you're still left in the dark. So we teach you the things that you should have been taught 20, 30 years ago in life, but you're only now getting the ability to understand it. This stuff should be taught in elementary school. Elementary school, this should be taught right now. So I teach it to my kids already, and you should be teaching your kids. They want to know. So there is a lot of bullshit, out there in terms of genetic testing, and they're doing it wrong and they're doing you a disservice. My company would make a killing if we simplified StrateGene and we sold you a bill of goods to take all these Seeking Health supplements based upon these are the genes you have, and as a result, these are the supplements you should take. Buy them here. We'd make a killing. Not going to do it. I won't do it. Jerry Lee, the test results are absolutely private. Yes. So if we have research if you want, and you can opt out. And you can opt out of research. The research is for our internal use only at this point. And if we ever change it, you will be notified. But I don't see it changing. I would love you to opt into the research because I want to be able to do clinical trials and all these things on de-identified data. So you opt into research. I still don't know whose test I'm looking at. We just look at the results, the data, but we don't know whose it is. It's de-identified. It's not there. Your name is gone. It's wiped out. And your privacy is utmost important to us. Your security is utmost important to us. We also, when we built the mainframe, the structure of StrateGene where your genetic data is stored, we built this big bunker within a bunker within another bunker for security. And then we paid an outside firm to try to break into it before we went live. And they broke into it. They found 3 vulnerable places to break in, even though we had like all these bunkers. And then they told us how to fix it. And then we went out and they fixed it. We fixed it. They told the programmers on how to all fix the stuff. Then they tried to break it again. They couldn't break it. So that's the type of stuff that we do to protect your genetic information. So we paid these professionals to try to penetrate our website. And they got in, and we thought we did an awesome job because we hired a high-end programming company, development company, but they still got in. So, and then we had it fixed. So it's, how many other companies are doing that? I don't know. So I'll tell you, there's probably a lot And then how accurate is your genetic information? So you do these smaller genetic companies out there, how accurate is their information? I don't know. They say you have MTHFR 677 variant. You might get StrateGene and you might find out you have a different MTHFR variant. Well, I can tell you StrateGene is accurate. So whatever other ones are out there, I don't know. But 23andMe is accurate. Ancestry, accurate. StrateGene, accurate. These other smaller mom and pop shops, I don't know. So be careful. It's very easy to just go and buy a chip and throw some marketing behind it and make a pretty PDF and tell it to some lab to have them process it. But if there's not controls in place, you're getting misinformation everywhere. Kim, there is a sample report. It's only part of a few pages. Yes, it's just a few pages on seekhealth.com. Melissa, it is overwhelming. StrateGene can be overwhelming, 100%. But look, you have to start. If you are going to rely on your health professionals to fix you, you will be frustrated. If you are relying on a product page on a supplement company's website to tell you enough information so you can make an educated decision whether or not you should buy that product or not, that's a lot of information that should be there, and you could be making a wrong decision. So while StrateGene is initially overwhelming, 100% it is, it's where you need to go. If you truly want to know how your body works, StrateGene is the answer. It's a complicated one. It's going to take work. It's going to take due diligence. If you do not have the time to do it, you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Stay away from it. And you're going to be having to be at the mercy of finding a health professional who really cares about you and who really understands. And there are very few health professionals out there that truly know what they're doing. I graduated from a class over 100 health professionals, 100 doctors, okay? Out of that 100 doctors in my class, I would probably go see 5 of them personally, 5. The rest I wouldn't touch. So just because they're a doctor doesn't mean they're going to help you. And you're going to be spending a lot of time going from doctor to doctor and health professional, trying to figure out who's going to be helpful for you. And if you have one, awesome. And you can go to seekhealth.com and try to get on a list. But if you don't have StrateGene, they probably won't want to work with you, because it's a lot harder for our health professionals to work with you without StrateGene, because they don't want to be guessing. With your StrateGene report, our health professionals can look at your StrateGene report and make educated decisions and give you targeted direction and recommendations with confidence. Without your StrateGene report, they're going to be guessing, and they don't really like that anymore, because the clients that they have or the patients that they have are harder. And so they're going to be guessing, and no health professional wants to give them a supplement or a treatment recommendation and have them have side effects. So StrateGene helps our health professionals and also helps you. So that said, if you truly feel overwhelmed and you do not want to study, do not get StrateGene. Just don't do it. I do not want you to get it, which is why on StrateGene.me website, we have the questions right there. Is StrateGene right for you? We do not want you buying StrateGene if it's not right for you. We don't want you to do it. But there are a lot of people who follow my work. And if you love my Facebook Lives, if you love understanding the mechanisms that I share, you're going to love StrateGene. You'll be overwhelmed, You'll have headaches. I have headaches with it still myself. But it is an amazing, amazing tool. Yeah, Melissa, exactly. You're getting tired of doctors throwing supplements at you, reacting negatively to them, and then they just say it's in your head, and then you get anxiety. And their doctors these health professionals are confused because they are making recommendations. They love this particular supplement. Look, doctors have a set number of supplements they recommend because they know them. And so they know these supplements, they work well for a majority of their patients, but 20, 30% of them don't do well from it. And so most of these health professionals just throw up their arms, because if they have a 70, 80, 90% success rate with their patients, they're good, they're done. I was never good with that. If I had a 10% failure rate, an outcome with my patients, I love the fact that I was able to help 90%, but that 10% bugged me, hated it. So I worked really hard to help those 10. And that's where StrateGene came from. It came to help those 10% outliers. So you are one of those 10% outliers, possibly. And if you are, StrateGene is going to be a tremendous tool for you and your doctor to work out. All right, all. My wife is texting me to go eat dinner. I can't eat too late because it'll keep me up late and keep my insulin levels high. So I appreciate your support. Appreciate you sticking in and learning about StrateGene, if it's right for you or not. If it is, I really invite you to go to signal.com. So signal.com, click the link right on the banner here, and it'll take you right to the product page. And so you go there and you just add it to cart. If you're in New York or outside the United States, unfortunately, we cannot provide you a kit at this moment. But we will eventually honor that discount, I'm sure, once we get going, okay? So we will help you all out. Can a baby do this test? Yes, you can. You're just gonna wanna get the cheek swab. So come down here and make sure you choose cheek, okay? So you want this swab. So if you have a little kid where you have an inability to spit into a tube, you're gonna wanna do the swab, okay? And then what happens with the swab is you're gonna be using this thing right here, and you're gonna take it out of the sterile container, and you're gonna carefully bypass their lips, not touch their teeth, not touch their tongue, and you're gonna get the cheek swab, and you're gonna rub it up and down their cheek, and then you do that. And the directions are all in the box, okay? It's really good directions for you. All right. New Jersey's fine, Johnny. You're good. New Jersey's fine. We're working on Sydney. We're working on Australia. We got you. Yep. So, all right, all. This $30 off, as you see here, will be gone December 4th. So take action. Don't forget. And I will see you in the StrateGene Facebook group, and I'll see you on additional trainings as well. Take care, all.